Hi everyone, and welcome back to another stroke analysis session with me, Coach Micah. We are going to look at Karen's backhand today. And as you know by now, I'm just going to let this run for a second just to get real life speed. And then we'll get started. All right, let's look at the grip first. From what I can see here, you do have your bottom hand, the right hand, in a continental grip. That's perfect. And an Eastern forehand grip on your offhand, on your left hand. So that is great. That's exactly the grip that I would teach. So that is excellent. Let's look at the next couple of steps. So what I do like is that you're preparing the racket here as you're starting to move. So you get your unit turn going at the proper time. Let's look at that here. Your chin rests almost on your right shoulder is around, right hip is around. On the take back, however, I'm seeing one issue. So what you want to do is, out of this ready position here, you ideally want to bring the racket back immediately up and then under the ball. So if we look at Garbiñe Muguruza here, who has one of the best backhands on tour, you see here that the racket never drops, right? She comes right back here in a unit turn, takes it back right there. And she has the racket head above her wrists, and that's exactly how we want it. You have a little bit of a, I almost want to say a delay there, because you're bringing the racket down, right? So you're letting the racket drop and then you bring it up fairly flatly. Ideally, I would like to have a little bit of a loop so you can get under the ball a little bit better. So you see that here. Ideally, this would be a little higher, so your racket face is a little higher, just like we see here with Garbiñe. And then you can get that racket face under the ball and brush up to contact point, because right now your take back is a little flat, it's too low here, and then you have to really reach up to the ball. You see that here, you have to come up off your right foot to even reach that ball. And to me, that actually means here you ran into the ball a little too much, right? You actually could have waited for the ball to come to you a little bit. We're always talking about taking it early. But in this case here, I think you almost ran into it a little bit too much. So let's look at some other backhands here. So that is a little too low then. So we see a variation in your contact point. And that is just experience, to my mind, that you're learning to judge the ball a little bit better. You know, is it going to come deep? Is it going to come short? How much do I have to move up? How much do I have to move back? So as we always want to catch our ball inside that area of your hip and your shoulders, the last two, you just let those drop a little too much, and they just fell out of your strike zone. So let's look at one more. I like this here better, the contact, because it's between hip and shoulder. However, you're catching it late, right? Because ideally we would see that both arms here are in front of your hips, of your center of gravity. So Garbiñe here has an almost semi-open stance. You have a closed stance. That changes the contact point a little bit, but you see here on her backhand, boom, that contact point is well in front of her right leg, and that's where we want to have it. Another teeny tiny thing that you could work on is making sure that your right leg is not completely extended, because that's making it difficult to really get your body weight into the ball. To me, it looks almost a little bit as if you're really, really worried about recovering very fast and you're almost not finishing your stroke. So go ahead, after you hit your ball, hold that position a little bit longer. See here how you're already falling back. And ideally we want our body weight on your front foot just a little longer so that you have better control of the ball here. So even though, you know, she's getting ready to recover here, but you see how much longer she has that body weight on her front leg, and you see that bend here a little bit more. The follow through is, let's look at Garbinia here, is high and away from your face. So you see that the elbow here is starting to come around, and then the racket almost touches the back of her body here. And your take back could be a little higher and come around with more distance between your elbows here and your chest. You see that here? There's that rhino nose. If I teach little kids, I always call it the rhinoceros nose. So bring your arms forward and up a little bit more for more extension. Let's look at it in real life for 2 or 3 strokes here. And then we're going to put Ash Barty in as a comparison. So on the back here, you see that your take back is not having a loop. So you're taking it straight down, and then you're coming forward. So that's almost a really classic approach. That's how we were taught, you know, when Chris Evert was still out there. Ideally, you would have a loop. And we see that here with Ash Barty, who has a pretty extended take back here, but you see how high that racket comes, and then she'll get under that ball. So there is a clear loop. And again, that helps with getting more topspin. The benefit of that is more topspin gives you more height over the net. You stay out of the net. It gives you more depth. And eventually, when you get more comfortable and more experienced, you can just swing faster. And the beautiful thing is the ball still stays in. So that's why we want to add topspin on the backhand and any ground stroke, really. So let's look at where you're making contact in terms of the side. So you're making contact here, and you see that you're having to reach there quite a bit. If I'm looking at Ash Barty here, she makes contact. Let's see if I can freeze that exactly where she's making contact. There. She has both of her arms almost in front of her body. They're almost covered here. Especially the right hand by her body. So that means that she's reaching out further in front and catches the ball further in front, but also closer to her body. And what you want to work on is to just get behind the ball more. So in the beginning, when you make those changes, it might feel like you're running into the ball. But again, that feeling of being too close sideways will be taken away by reaching out further in front and then making contact in front of your body more. And that also makes it a lot easier to get the body weight more from your outside foot, outside leg, your left leg, into your right leg, right? So you can transfer your body weight into the ball a little bit more, again, giving it more stability, and then eventually also more power. So let's look here at the follow through from the back from Ash Barty. So you also here, you see that she's having that racket actually this time wrap around her biceps. So there's always different, or there can be different follow throughs. Yep, finish right over your right shoulder here. Don't stop that follow through, right? Go ahead and follow through all the way. I like that contact here better. It seems to be closer to you and more in front of you. So really that's a much better ball here. And then go ahead and follow through all the way. And then the last bit, keep that body weight on the front foot, on this leg here more, so that you're not falling away from the ball because you're worried that you have to recover too quickly. You're fast enough, you're athletic enough to recover to all those balls, but that way you just get better quality into your shot. So let's see if I can show you that one more time a little bit better with Ash. right? She has that body weight here on her front foot, and you see that really because the left foot completely leaves the ground here. So follow through, follow through, follow through, and here she has a higher follow through, and if we saw her from the front, she would have that rhino nose that I'm talking about, or I've talked about before. I'm excited about your backhand. I think there are really good fundamentals there. Those tweaks, I think, are not the biggest necessarily. They're just, needing repetition and work on them. But I'm really excited about your backhand, and I'm excited to hopefully see it again in a couple of months after you had time to work on your backhand.